Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, friends, every year in May, we traditionally gather here at the mansion in the reception house of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs to celebrate Africa Day. This holiday carries deep meaning not only for Africans, but for all of humanity. This date is a symbol of overcoming the colonial past. It embodies the unyielding will of the African peoples to the heads of state and government of African countries. Allow me to read it aloud. Dear ladies and gentlemen, please accept my heartfelt congratulations on the occasion of Africa Day. This year is marked by significant anniversaries. The 80th anniversary of the end of World War II and the founding of the United Nations, the 65th anniversary of the adoption of the UN Declaration on the granting of independence to colonial countries and peoples. The defeat of Nazism and the collapse of the colonial system were among the most important events of the 20th century, making possible the free and peaceful development of all humanity. Over the past decades, the independent states of Africa have established themselves as respected members of the international community and have achieved widely recognized successes in the economic and social spheres. Multilateral cooperation within the African Union, as well as a number of sub-regional structures, contributes to strengthening security and stability on the continent. Our country consistently advocates for the expansion of traditionally friendly relations with African partners. This is fully evidenced by the Russia-Africa summits held in 2019 and 2023, which made it possible to identify new areas of cooperation and contributed to the coordination of efforts in international affairs. The new dialogue format of the Ministerial Conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum is yielding good results. Another such meeting is planned to be held before the end of the year in one of the African countries. I am confident that through our joint efforts, we will continue to strengthen the multifaceted Russia-Africa ties for the benefit of our peoples and in the interest of building a just and democratic multipolar world order. I wish you health and success and peace and prosperity to the citizens of your countries. Vladimir Putin. Colleagues, this year is marked by the 80th anniversary of the end of the Great Patriotic War and the Second World War, as well as the 65th anniversary of the UN Declaration on the granting of independence to colonial countries and peoples. This was emphasized in the President's address, and these epoch-making events are closely interconnected. On May 10, 1945, in a congratulatory telegram to the head of the Soviet government, Joseph Stalin, Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia noted, and I quote, "This victory, which brings us the end of the most savage tyranny the world has ever known, has brought us to the threshold of an era of greater happiness and greater justice for all peoples who were threatened with annihilation." End of quote. We remember and value the fact that hundreds of thousands of Africans fought in the armies of the anti-Hitler coalition, bringing victory closer. In turn, the defeat of Nazism contributed to the development of the national liberation movement and accelerated the collapse of the colonial system. Our country made a tremendous contribution to the process of decolonization, which was based on one of the key principles of the UN Charter, the right of nations to self-determination. For many years, we have selflessly supported Africans in their struggle for freedom and independence, consistently assisting the formation of young states and their comprehensive socio-economic development. Today, Russia continues to help strengthen Africa's position as a distinctive and influential center of global development. In particular, we support Africans' aspiration to obtain permanent representation on the UN Security Council. We will continue to assist interested African countries in strengthening their defense capabilities and countering terrorism, as well as ensuring food and energy security. In recent years, the African continent, establishing itself as one of the pillars of a stable multipolar world order, has achieved impressive results. Such progress has largely been made possible thanks to the collective will of Africans to address common challenges and achieve shared goals. We welcome the dynamic development of integration processes that contribute to strengthening solidarity on the continent and make its voice more influential. The African Union plays a key role in this regard. The colors of the Union's flag, adopted in 2010, are highly symbolic. The green color represents African aspirations and the desire for unity. Gold stands for Africa's wealth and its bright future. White represents the purity of the desire to have true friends around the world. Russia remains a reliable and loyal partner to Africans in strengthening their sovereignty, whose main threat continues to be persistent neo-colonial practices. In this regard, we believe that the theme of 2025 in the African Union is in keeping with the spirit of the times, which states justice for Africans and people of African descent through the payment of reparations. An important step in this direction was the adoption by the UN General Assembly in December of last year of a resolution on the eradication of colonialism in all its forms and manifestations, which calls for consideration of the establishment of an International Day for the Struggle Against Colonialism on December 14, the day the UN Declaration on the Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and Peoples was adopted. We expect that the corresponding draft resolution will be adopted as early as this autumn at the 80th session of the UN General Assembly. This, of course, will contribute to the fight against neo-colonial practices which Western countries continue to use in their relations with the Global South and the Global East. Together with our African friends, we are united in our desire to enrich our relations with new substance in the spirit of the realities of the 21st century. We are working together to implement the agreements reached at the Russia-Africa summits held in Sochi in 2019 and in St. Petersburg in 2023, as well as at the first ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum in Sochi last November. The Joint Action Plan for 2023-2026, adopted by the heads of state, includes such priority areas of cooperation as security, trade, investment, agriculture, information and communication technologies, science, culture, and education. At the same time, this plan is aligned with the African Union's Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. We note the dynamic development of trade and economic relations. Last year, trade turnover between Russia and Africa exceeded $27.7 billion. It is clear that, given our existing potential, this is far from the limit. Education has traditionally been one of the most dynamic areas of Russia-Africa cooperation. Today, more than 32,000 African students are studying at our higher education institutions. Joint work is intensifying in such important areas as healthcare, combating epidemics, and the prevention and elimination of emergencies. Our cooperation with the African Union and other multilateral organizations on the continent is actively developing. We see great prospects in developing their contacts with integration associations in Eurasia, such as the Eurasian Economic Union, the Collective Security Treaty Organization, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And of course, we fully support the development of cooperative relations between the African Union and BRICS. Our policy of deepening the multifaceted Russia-Africa strategic partnership is reflected in the establishment of a new structural division within the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Department of Partnership with Africa. On the agenda is the preparation for the second ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Forum, which will take place this year in one of the African countries. And there is no doubt that its outcomes will contribute to the thorough preparation of the third Russia-Africa Summit, which is also scheduled to take place next year on the African continent. As noted in the aforementioned message from President Putin, I would like once again to congratulate you on the holiday and to wish the peoples of Africa and everyone present peace, health, and prosperity. Thank you.
The floor is given to the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Cameroon to the Russian Federation, Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps, His Excellency Mohamedou Bouba Saleh.
Mr. Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, dear colleagues. It is difficult to speak before you after the address delivered by President Putin and everything that has already been said. Nevertheless, I would like to emphasize that for us Africans, our relationship with your great country, Russia, is of particular importance. These are ties that were established a long time ago. Because even at the end of the colonial era, when other countries were advocating for Africa's independence, you, unlike the others, truly valued the aspirations of the African people to develop their own region. And for several years now, you mentioned the Russia-Africa summit that took place in Sochi, and then the summit that was held in St. Petersburg, the ministerial conference, and the strategic conference on Russia-Africa partnership. This has given new momentum to our relations, and we can say that we know very well as ambassadors, we observe every day that Russia contributes daily to the development of our personnel, to the improvement of our higher education, which enables our younger generation to be educated and to contribute to the development of our country. And our people are truly capable of making a significant and meaningful contribution to improving production within our countries. I would also like to note that in the field of security and the military, we owe a great deal to your country, because no country can develop without peace and stability. And even in the most remote villages of Africa, you can find children waving the flags of the Russian Federation. Russia has become our main partner, and we are well aware of this. And on this occasion, I would like to say that the partnership we are developing between our countries and Russia is characterized by the fact that you are the only developed country that celebrates Africa Day and makes this holiday a special occasion. And this highlights the importance of the relationship that is forming between the African peoples and Russia, and we are grateful to you for this. And I would like to note that the momentum we are giving to our relations should continue, be strengthened, and it is necessary to ensure that Russia, as in the past, plays an active role in its relations with African countries and for the benefit of all humanity. Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the official part of our event. We invite everyone to the reception. I want you to know just how much joy you have truly given me. Your presence in my life fills my days with happiness and warmth, and I am so grateful for all the wonderful moments we have shared together.